knows?
What Aunt Maud knows, my dear, is quite prodigious.
No doubt she thinks me some sort of scoundrel.
Not at all. She likes you.
Or at best not good enough for you.
Oh, not good enough, shall we say, for her, for Lancaster Gate.
Ah, I see the force of her argument.
Oh, she didn't, as it were, pluck me from the bosom of my awful family for nothing.
Oh, so I'm nothing, am I?
By the standards of Lancaster Gate, not mine.
And are they really so awful, your family?
Unspeakable. Aunt Maud is the only way by which a family such as mine can survive. The fact is a perpetual sound in my ears. It makes me ask myself sometimes if I've any right to personal happiness. In fact, any right to anything, but to be as rich and smart and shining as I can be.
Let us hope with luck you might have happiness as well.
Oh, darling, I adore you.
Will you settle it by our being married straight away? Before I go abroad, tomorrow if you like.
No, let's wait, shall we? At least till you've seen Aunt Maud.
Do you call that adoring me?
Yes, I do.
For somebody of such high spirit, I must say you're extremely prudent.
Ah, then, we're both hideously intelligent, you and I. But there's fun in it, too.
Indeed there is.
I think our relationship is beautiful. It's not in the least bit vulgar.
Though how you must sometimes be tempted to chuck me.
No, that would be vulgar. Though, of course, I do see the danger that I may one day be persuaded to do something base.
And what could be more base than sacrificing me?
Ah, don't cry out till you're hurt, my boy. I shall sacrifice nobody and nothing. I want and shall try for everything. You see.
And once more, the key to your everything is Aunt Maud.
Just see her. Talk to her. Take her into your confidence. And if she likes you, there's no knowing what she may do for us. After all, it was never I who sought her. She just came and bore me away in her wonderful gilded claws.
You speak of her as though she were some superior kind of vulture.
Or rather, I think, an eagle. A golden eagle.
Goodness, what she must think of you.
Oh, she does. Too much. Well, that's the trouble.
Oh, dear, what in the world can I do to square her?
Just see her. Talk to her. Charm her. You can.
Grovel to her, you mean?
Oh, call it what you like. I make no such overfine distinctions myself.
Ah, Mr. Densher. My niece Kate told me you wished to see me. Do sit down.
Thank you, madam.
She told me also that you're shortly going to America for your, newspaper. I forget its name, but that's immaterial. Is that right?
Quite right, madam. I leave at the end of the week.
Mr. Densher, let us pay each other the compliment of being quite honest. I can perfectly guess the object of your visit, can I not?
Yes, madam, I'm quite sure you can.
My niece is the finest creature in the world, Mr. Densher. But I'm sure you flatter yourself by thinking you already know that.
Indeed, I do.
I don't say so just because she's my niece. That's nothing to me. I might have 50 nieces, but I wouldn't have brought one of them to this house unless she was to my taste. Kate, unluckily for you, Mr. Densher, is all I could desire.
Of course.
Yes, I've been saving her up. And letting her, as one might say, appreciate. And now that she's beginning to show such an admirable return for my investment, you must realize, of course, I want nothing less than the best for her.
Indeed. And I quite see that your idea of the best is not exactly me.
Oh, well, but I think you do yourself something of an injustice, Mr. Densher. You strike me as being quite a personable young man in your way.
Thank you, madam.
But you see, I have particular reasons for wanting to see Kate rise high. Yes, I want to see her high up and in the sun, where she should be.
In fact, you'd like her to marry into the peerage, is that right?
I see no reason why she should not, certainly.
At that rate, I can quite understand how little I fit into your picture. Thank you for not being more rough with me.
Why in the world should I be rough, Mr. Densher? You're going to America, you say?
To New York, but only for a short while.
Then remind me to give you some letters of introduction. I've many good friends in New York, and when you return, perhaps you'd care to come and have dinner sometime. Goodbye.
But if she consents to you eventually coming to the house, isn't that really everything?
Oh, certainly. Yet I think she calculates that I should be less of a complication if I'm allowed to see you reasonably often. It's my lack of money which gives her such confidence. And I think she gives me credit for wanting to better my state a little before putting the pistol to your head, which gives her time for her plans for you to mature, if she doesn't spoil them by treating me badly in the meantime. Besides, I'm sure she doesn't want to. She liked me, as I did her, but she'll like me even better if circumstances treat me badly, though you may not like me as much.
I hereby engage myself to you forever and ever.
Kate, darling.
And I call to God as my witness that I pledge you every spark of my faith, every drop of my life.
Dearest Kate, You know I do the same for you.
These words, these promises will be our secret till you come back.
And in the meantime, if your Aunt Maud asks you, on your honor, where we are, as one might say.
No, she won't, I think. Not while you're away. She'll be content to leave it.
But there'll be our letters.
Well, many, many, I hope.
Well, then?
Well, I shan't leave mine on the hall table. I shall post them myself.
Then had I better send mine to your sister? I'd rather not.
Oh, men are so foolish about these things. If I post my own letters to you, my love, it won't just be for the vulgar reason of hiding them, but because to post them will be a special pleasure. But send yours directly by all means. I shall be proud to receive them.
Even though it means bringing the Inquisition on your head?
I am not afraid. If she asks me straight, I know what I shall say. That I love you as I shall never in my life love anyone else, and that she can make what she likes of it.
He wants us particularly to join him one weekend at Matcham. He leaves it to us to let him know when it would be convenient. Lord Mark, my love, your neighbour last week at Lady Roberts, if you remember?
Of course I remember, Aunt. He's a very charming man.
Yes, is he not? Both charming and intelligent. Which reminds me, my dear, have you corresponded at all with that quite pleasant young man who called you once? I'm afraid I don't recall his name.
Mr. Densher? Why do you ask?
Oh, merely that I promised to give him an address, an old schoolfellow of mine in New York, a quite delightful woman.
I think he comes home soon. I'm not really sure.
Oh, well, in that case.
But give me the name, Aunt. And if I should happen to be writing.
Who's that?
It's only me, Susie.
Oh, come in.
I asked them to save you the trouble of dressing to send something up here to your room.
Oh, thank you, but you really need not have bothered. I'm quite all right.
Well, I was a brute to suggest that we move on. We should have stayed the night in Como. Do I bully you dreadfully?
Oh, yes, of course, dreadfully.
I sometimes feel I bullied you into coming to Europe in the first place because, well, to travel like this with you is such a wonderful opportunity for me.
And isn't the opportunity as wonderful for me?
Yes, but for you, it's always there.
Oh, do you think so?
And why should it not be? You're young. You have no domestic complications, no material restraints, if one may be permitted to descend to the merely vulgar. Well, my dear, have you?
No, I suppose not.
Well, then.
Susan, what was it Dr. Finch told you before we sailed, when you saw him alone?
Nothing, on my honor, that couldn't as well have been said in front of you, my love. Why, are you feeling unwell?
No.
No particular trouble, no pain of any sort?
No, none.
Do you swear?
Susan, I want to go to London. Now. Straight away, not go on to Venice as we planned.
Well, my love, if that's what you'd like, that's what we'll do. But, Millie, why?
Oh, I want above everything else to see London. You know that. Well, then I sometimes feel that I want to have seen everything, to have known everything, experienced everything. If only one had the time.
And why should you not have the time, my love?
So will you write?
To Maud, louder. Well, I'll do so tonight. And you, my love, may write to that young man, if you will.
What young man?
You know perfectly well of whom I speak, Mr. Densher.
Oh, yes, of course, Mr. Densher.
Well, he particularly asked, if you remember, that you should look him up, as he called it, if you came to London.
But how can I look him up if he's still in New York?
And how does one know that he's still in New York? But, Millie, my love, are you sure it's wise to travel when you're so tired?
Oh, but I'm not really tired, not in that sense. Well, it's only that... Oh, but would you mind? You don't think me merely tiresome and capricious?
No.
Oh, you're good. You're wonderful.
Oh, I'm wonderful, all right. Well, then, I'll ask them to prepare our bill for the morning.
Dearest Susie, after all, ghastly change, I can hardly believe it.
But let me introduce the companion of my travels, Miss Millie Thiel.
How do you do, ma'am? It was most kind of you to take pity on us like this.
Oh, it's so many years since I was last in London. Well, for Millie, it's a whole new experience.
And a very wonderful one, I can assure you.
Then we must see that you make the most of it, my dear. First, you shall meet my niece. Kate, my love.
Excuse me. Yes, Aunt.
This is Miss Steele from America, my niece, Kate Croy.
How do you do?
How do you do?
And my dear friend Susie, Mrs. Stringham.
How do you do?
Now, I put her in your charge, my dear. See to it that she meets everyone she wishes. In short, do what you will with her.
Certainly, Aunt. Do you already know many people here?
In London, nobody. Oh, well, almost nobody.
What a striking girl.
Is she not?
She has a certain delicacy.
Yes, indeed. At home, we reckon her a great beauty. In fact, quite a princess, in a manner of speaking.
Do you mean she has...
Oh, everything, in a material sense. Everything, that is, except a family. And in addition, she has the sweetest, gentlest nature of any creature living. Your niece, too, is very handsome. Extremely handsome.
Yes. I flatter myself my girl need yield to nobody on that score. But come, you must meet my friends.
Now, you must let me take you around and introduce you to the more interesting people. Or better still, you stay here and let me bring them to you.
Oh, Miss Croy, not for the moment, please.
Well, why not?
Well, don't you see it's enough for me just to be standing here as I am in London? To see so much. It's wonderful.
Well, if you find this wonderful, then perhaps you'd let me show you more of London while you're here.
Oh, but could you really spare the time? Your life must be so full.
Ah, Lord Mark, I'd like you to meet Miss Millie Thiel from America.
How do you do?
How do you do?
I believe I'm to be placed next to you at dinner. I'm flattered. I'd no idea Mrs. Lauder thought so well of me.
I shall leave her with you for the moment. Look after her well.
Oh, assuredly.
You do yourself an injustice, Lord Mark. I'm sure you're quite the best thing Mrs. Lauder has.
Well, if ever I was, I'm so no longer. You're the best now.
Well, in what way am I anything at all to do with Mrs. Lauder? Well, that's the trouble. We both feel, Mrs. Stringham and I, greatly in her debt. She's shown such tremendous kindness, yet what have we to give her in return?
Mrs. Stringham at least has you.
To give to Mrs. Lauder? Oh, I'm rather a poor present. Besides, I don't feel yet as though I'd quite been given.
Well, at least you've been shown. And with you, just to be seen is to be jumped at immediately, you see. And you need have no sense of obligation, I'm sure. You'll find that nobody here does anything for nothing. Mrs. Lauder will, as it were, get her money back, don't you worry.
Well, we shall certainly do everything we can to repay her, that goes without saying, but I take her to be an idealist.
Mrs. Lauder, an idealist?
Well, if not Mrs. Lauder, then certainly Miss Croy. What is she to gain by her kindness and her welcome?
To begin with, your acquaintance.
Oh, but what's my acquaintance to her? Well, she can care for me only by being sorry for me.
Then I'm afraid she's left me far behind. I'm not sorry for you at all. No, I don't see you as an object of pity, Miss Thiel. Far from it.
Ah, but perhaps Miss Croy has more perception than the rest of you. She understands. She's beautiful.
Beautiful in face, do you mean, or of character?
Well, her outward beauty is there for anyone to see. And as to her character, I only met her a moment ago. You must know her a great deal better than I.
Ah, but you see, I've failed with her. That's the trouble. She doesn't care for me, though I can hardly hold that to her discredit. No, there's some quality in her that eludes me. I can't make her out, though I should dearly like to.
But it seems to me that on the contrary, you here, all of you know each other too well, so far as you really know anything.
So, with all the pains one takes to run about the world, one ends knowing nothing. Is that your opinion of us?
You're familiar with everything, but you're conscious really of nothing. You're blasé. Well, what I mean is, you've no imagination.
Well, now, shall I lead the way into the dining room?
Miss Thiel.
Thank you.
May we come in? We're not too early.
Oh, no, indeed. Millie's all ready. Aren't you, my love?
Miss Croy, this is very kind of you. I hardly dared to hope.
But I promised last night. We already had an engagement, remember?
Oh, but one makes engagements in the heat of the moment. One doesn't always keep them.
Ah, but this is one I had every intention of keeping, though on one condition only.
And what is that?
That you call me by my first name.
Oh, that's no condition at all. But I have one in return that I must positively insist upon. If we are to go about together, I must be responsible in the financial sense.
Most certainly not.
Well, I shall positively go on no other terms.
Is that an ultimatum?
It is, and a firm one.
Very well, then, I suppose I must accede, but on this occasion only.
Goodbye. We'll try to be back soon after luncheon.
Oh, don't hurry on my account. Maud and I will have plenty to talk about, I can assure you.
Goodbye. There are so many things I'd like to ask you. First, My neighbor at the dinner table last night.
Lord Mark.
He struck me as being very easy, very charming, yet...
You mean, is one to take such charm quite at its face value, so to speak?
Exactly. Well, over here, for a stranger, it's so hard to tell.
Well, all I can tell you is that Aunt Maud, for one, does. She, in fact, takes him extremely seriously.
And is that so very rare?
Where young men are concerned, very rare indeed. But then, of course, they are not also eligible.
And is he?
Lord Mark, oh, quite prodigiously so.
Today at luncheon, I took the liberty of speaking to Maud of Mr. Denshaw.
Oh? Yes?
Well, it had begun to seem strange to me that though he was known to all four of us, his name hung fire among us. Well, it's as we assumed. He's not yet back from the States. She was greatly interested to learn of your having met him, too. I ventured to tell her it was not so often as to have made you as yet great friends. I hope I was right.
You speak as though you think I might have something to conceal. I assure you I haven't.
Well, you and Miss Croy have talked of him together, I imagine.
Kate and I? Well, never a word. Why should we?
Oh, then that may well be significant.
Significant of what?
Well, I tell you all when I tell you that Maud thinks it better for the present that you shouldn't speak of him to her. That is, of course, unless she speaks of him first. But Maud thinks that she will not.
You mean because there's something between them?
Oh, no, not on her side, so I gather. Or perhaps it would be more true to say that Maud hopes there isn't.
But why? Is Mr. Densher then so dreadful?
Oh, not in himself. She likes him immensely. Maud, I mean. No, it's the state of his fortune, or lack of it. It seems he has virtually no income at all.
And she thinks he'll never do anything? That he has no talent?
On the contrary, she thinks he has a great deal, but not, alas, for making money. Now, he'll never be a public man or a rich man. That is her contention. If he were public, she'd do what she could to help him. And if he were merely rich, she'd do her best to swallow him. But as it is, she taboos him altogether.
I see. Well, from what you tell me, I do find it just a little strange that Kate's never mentioned him before. However, she has not.
Or perhaps, my dear, she feared that back home he'd, shall we say, made up to you just a little? Did he, by the way?
Mr. Densher? Of course not.
Well, why do you make it sound so improbable? He'd be far from the first to fall under the spell of your weird and particular charm.
Oh, my weird charm, as you call it, quite escaped him, I'm afraid. But that's not the point. The point is rather what Kate may be persuaded to believe.
Oh, if Maud wishes him to appear in a bad light, you mean? Well, she may, because Maud would like Kate to marry Lord Mark. That, at least, Miss Croy must have made clear.
Well, not in so many words, but yes, in her own wonderful way, she hinted at it, certainly.
Oh, Maud has great hopes of Lord Mark. In fact, we're all to go down to his place at Matcham this weekend. The invitation arrived this afternoon.
We? Does that include you and me?
It does, but more especially you, my love. So you see, dear child, we begin to move in a labyrinth.
Well, Miss Steele, and what do you think of us?
Of you, Mrs. Lauder.
Of this house, everything. I'm sure you've already formed a strong opinion.
Well, if you must know, I was thinking how hard it's going to be to leave.
Leave? But you mustn't think of it. You must stay on with us. You can, my dear child. You know you can. You must make your home here.
You're very kind, Mrs. Lauder.
But above all, you must help me with Kate. Because nothing so good has happened to me for a long time as that you and she should become friends. And what makes it better is that it should come about through my dear, delightful Susie, restored to me after all these years as though by a miracle. Because at my time of life, my dear, one seldom makes new friends. It's like changing one's bankers after the age of 50. One simply doesn't do it.
Mrs. Lauder, Kate sends me to find you and tell you they're in the big marquee.
Ah, yes, thank you, Lord Mark. We'll join them. You coming, my dear?
One moment. There's something I particularly wish to show Miss Steele.
Oh, very well.
Show me, Lord Mark.
She'll be with you in a moment.
Thank you.
Now, Miss Steele, come here a moment. There. What do you think of her?
It's beautiful.
Florentine, by Bronzino. My father brought it back from Italy. And it used to hang in the passage, and one thought nothing of it. Until recently. But come now, don't you see the likeness?
Likeness?
To yourself. Why, everyone's been remarking on it.
be better than this.
Than she? Oh, you'd scarce needs be better, for surely that's well enough.
No. I meant that everything this afternoon has been too beautiful. And that perhaps everything together will never be so right again.
Yes. Yes, you know, I prize this particularly now. In fact, it's become quite the center. Miss Steele.
I'm sorry. It's just foolishness, really.
No, please, here, let me.
Thank you.
I'll fetch somebody.
Thank you.
My dearest girl, what is it? What has happened?
Oh, it's nothing, truly. I'm nearly recovered.
The sun, perhaps, when we sat outside just now.
Yes, perhaps.
No, sit still for a moment. Don't move.
Kate, I must ask you to do me a very great favor.
Any service in the world, dear girl.
But it's a secret. No one must know. I must be wicked and false about it.
Well, then I'm your woman. Oh, let's do something really bad. You know, you're impossibly without sin. It's the only thing I really have against you.
I'm afraid I may not live up to your ideas. It's only to deceive Susie.
Oh, is that all? That's scarcely worth doing, I should have thought.
It's just this. I must make an appointment as soon as possible to see Sir Luke Strett in Harley Street.
Harley Street? My dear, are you ill?
Well, if you mean in the hands of a doctor, yes. At home, that is. And he allowed me to travel only under the condition that I should get in touch with Sir Luke if I felt the need.
And you do?
So, will you help me?
And you've positively no relatives at all? Not a parent or a sister or even an aunt?
Nobody would ever. I'm a sole survivor. But I've many good friends, both at home and now I hope here in this country.
I don't doubt it. But I hope that from now on you'll number me amongst them.
Oh, I feel I shall. I'm sure of it. I felt it somehow the moment I came here. Thank you, Sir Luke.
I don't want you for the present to do anything at all, other than obey a few simple rules that I shall write down for you. Then, if I may, I should like to come and see you again in a day or two.
Oh, good. Then you shall meet Susan Stringham, the companion of my travels and the best of my dear friends.
I should like to speak to her very much. Are you, by the way, free to live as and where you choose? I mean, as far as one ever is.
Oh, certainly. I may rattle around the world till I'm black and blue. So, if it's a question of sending me somewhere...
Oh, I send you nowhere. Though I should advise you as soon as you reasonably can to get out of London.
Oh. May I then go back to the continent?
By all means. Somewhere warm. All I ask is go away. Enjoy yourself. Worry about nothing.
But if I go away, how will I keep on seeing you? Oh, but perhaps you won't want me to.
Indeed, I shall. I shan't let you go now.
Thank you, Sir Luke.
I'm sure you have a great spirit, my dear. But don't try to bear more than you need. Hard things have come to you early. But remember, you've the right at your age to be happy.
And whenever I come back to England, may I visit you?
Always. Immediately. Whenever you like.
So then you think that I shall come?
That, my dear, is largely up to you.
Is it? Then I shall.
Excellent. I'm sure this will prove to have been a very happy day for both of us.
Thank you, Sir Luke. So, am I to take it then that you think I will live?
My dear child, isn't that precisely what I'm trying to persuade you to take the trouble to do?
Oh, thank goodness.
Kate, Susie won't be back for some time. She's gone out for the day.
Well, what did he say?
Oh, he's lovely, and it's all right.
Yes, but what's the matter with you?
Oh, nothing that he won't look after. He says that I'm not to worry, and if I'm a good girl, he'll look after me forever and ever.
Then there's nothing at all wrong with you?
Well, I shall need a little watching, he says, but he'll do it. He'll watch me. Oh, I can't tell you how good I feel. It's as though I've been on my knees to the priest. I've confessed and been absolved. It has been lifted off.
Oh, my darling. You are too sweet for words. But it's just as I thought. So you can do as you like.
Quite. Isn't it delightful? Well, so long as I don't do it here in London.
What? You mean you're to leave us? Go abroad?
He would prefer it, yes.
Oh, but not, I hope, to beastly Rivieras, Engadines, boredoms of that sort.
He makes no special stipulation wherever I choose. He says I'm to go in wholly for pleasure.
Oh, does he indeed? What kind of pleasure?
Oh, the very highest.
And what, my precious girl, might that be?
Oh, that, my dear, with your help, I hope to find out.
Goodness gracious, Aunt Maud.
You didn't, I hope, tell her.
Miss Steele, Oh.
This is an afternoon for pleasant surprises, it seems. Do come in, Mrs. Lauder.
I thought, my dear, you two spent the afternoon shopping.
Oh, but I did, Aunt. And then I called round to see Millie on my way home.
Susie's not here, I'm afraid. She's gone out of town for the day.
So I understand her to say. Kate, my dear, if, as you claim, you've been shopping all afternoon, I'm sure Miss Steele will permit you the use of her room for a few moments to tidy.
Oh, yes, of course.
To tidy, Aunt? I was not aware of the need.
Then a glance in Miss Steele's mirror should make you so.
Yes, Aunt. Thank you.
Let me show you, Kate.
Miss Steele, Kate knows the way, I'm sure. I took this opportunity, my dear, as I thought, to speak privately to you.
To me, Mrs. Lauder.
I will be brutally brief. I know that in America you several times met my niece's friend, Mr. Densher.
On one or two occasions with Mrs. Stringham, yes.
Has she referred to him in any way?
No, and I haven't spoken of him to her either.
Ah, that is what I wanted to know. Could you perhaps do so now, in any way you think fit, quite casually, so that one might discover whether he's back in England or not?
But surely, if I haven't mentioned him till now, she may wonder why I've been making a mystery of him.
But hasn't she, in her own way, been doing just that by not mentioning him to you?
Perhaps. But can't you ask her yourself, Mrs. Lauder?
Oh, but we never speak of him.
Oh, he's an acquaintance you don't approve of, then?
Rather say I disapprove of her for the poor young man. She doesn't care for him.
You mean he does for her?
Oh, too much. I fear he besets her, and I don't want her worried. And nor do I want him, for that matter.
So you do like him, then?
Oh, but of course. Why, don't you?
I met him, I think, only 3 times in New York. But will he have been writing to her, do you think?
My dear, that is exactly what I want to know. Push in a little for yourself, and I dare say she'll tell you. I ask it for the poor young man's sake as much as for my own. And now I must leave you. Kate may take a cab if she doesn't wish to walk, tell her. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mrs. Lauder.
Well? What has she been saying about me?
What makes you think she said anything?
Oh, because I know Aunt Maud. And because when I left this room, your eyes were shining. And now they are not.
Is there anything, then, that she would say?
Only that I'm all very fine in my way. But that I'm not, alas, the sweet, straightforward creature that you are, my love. In fact, you may very well come to loathe me one day.
Why do you say such things to me?
Because you are a dove. And compared with you, I'm... Well, I'm a brute.
We must talk together, you and I.
Oh, my dearest girl. When, for goodness sake, do we do anything else?
Oh, not now, when Susan Stringham may burst in upon us at any moment, but somewhere undisturbed. Where shall we go? Tomorrow morning, Kensington Gardens.
Well, I'm afraid tomorrow morning for me is not possible. The afternoon, perhaps.
Oh, dear. I did so want to be out when Sir Luke comes to see Susie. Oh, but never mind. I can find some other excuse for my absence, I'm quite sure.
Miss Steele, what a wonderful bit of luck. I say, don't go, Miss Steele. Don't you remember? Densher, Merton Densher. We met in New York.
Of course I remember.
Kate, here's Miss Steele. I told you what tremendous talks we had together in the States. But of course you two know each other. I was forgetting.
Oh, we do indeed. In fact, we're the greatest of friends, aren't we, Millie, my love?
This really is an extraordinary business. I arrived back only last night, Miss Steele. So, Miss Croy and I, well, we arranged this little meeting.
Before his paper claims him, when he'll be lost to us all, you'll find.
I'm sorry. I had absolutely no idea.
My dear Miss Steele, What in the world is there to be sorry about? What better could happen to a chap on his first day home? Come on, join us.
Oh, no, if you don't mind.
Why not? Say something, Kate. Persuade her.
Ah, but I'm afraid I have no influence over her at all. Quite the reverse, in fact.
I really must go. I have an appointment, and I'm late already.
Well, if you must. But we'll meet again, I trust.
Oh, yes, of course. I hope so.
Kate knows where to find you, I'm sure.
We must have a reunion sometime to celebrate the fact of us all being such great friends.
Oh, yes, indeed. Now, if you both don't think me rude.
Well, goodbye then, for the time being.
Goodbye. She likes you. She likes you very much.
Why do you say that?
Oh, one can always tell. At least another woman can. She won't tell, I think, that she's seen us.
Does Mrs. Lauder know I'm back?
Oh, if she does, it's not from me. But I shall speak to her straight away to be on the safe side. Oh, my cleverness, I assure you, has grown quite infernal.
Kate, take me now as I am.
Dear man, don't spoil it. Wait for me. Give me time. Believe in me. And it will all be beautiful in the end, I assure you.
Do you love me? Love me. Love me.
I love you. Love you. Love you.
Oh, I'm sorry, but Sir Luke had just left. I dare not let her see me cry. In fact, after this, I must never cry again. It would be a confession of despair.
Well, I would cry myself, I dare say, if I hadn't so many visits to make. It's my afternoon for visiting, so do forgive me.
Well, he says that the great thing, the only thing now is that she should be happy.
Of course, but what particular kind of happiness is he talking about?
No. Have you never, my dear, been in love?
My good woman, frequently, but not on doctor's orders.
Well, of course, we don't ask his leave to do so, but, well, it's something to know that he thinks it's so good for us.
One hardly needs a doctor to tell one that, I think. Has he anyone in particular to prescribe, as it were?
Oh, no, but I think you know who we both have in mind, who has, in a sense, brought us all together in this magnificent way.
Magnificent it may be, but poor Millie won't be if she marries Merton Densher, if that's whom you have in mind.
Why not? It's always magnificent to marry the man one loves. Oh, but we're going too fast. How, in the first place, is he to be made to care for her?
Well, simply by being put in the way of it.
Oh, then, for God's sake, put him in the way. One feels that you have him, like everyone else, in your hands.
Ah, but I haven't Kate.
You mean she still cares for him?
She thinks she cares. In any case, you must deny positively to your girl that she even thinks she does.
But I lie so badly.
I, thank God, lie well, so leave it to me. By helping your girl, I shall be indirectly helping my own.
Even as Mrs. Merton Densher, my girl would never be a nobody.
Quite. But much as I like the young man, my girl, I think, can do better. Oh, Mr. Densher, how very pleasant to see you again. Kate's not down yet, but no matter. I want you particularly to meet two American friends of ours who will be here tonight. But I was forgetting you know them already, of course.
Mrs. Stringham, yes, but Miss Thiel I only had the pleasure of meeting 2 or 3 times.
Really? I somehow gained the impression from her it was rather more frequently than that. However, your meetings, whatever their number, seem to impress themselves upon her mind. Ah, this Susie. What's this? Alone?
Oh, my dear, she sends her deepest apologies. She's most upset.
Oh, but not ill, I trust.
Oh, not in the sense that I think you mean it, I'm happy to say, but overdone. Quite dreadfully overdone. I had to put her to bed immediately, poor child. She's desperately disappointed.
Oh, here's Kate. Do you wonder that I see only the best of her? My dear.
Mrs. Stringham, where is she?
Quite worn out, poor child, by so much sightseeing, apparently.
She asked me particularly to send you her apologies. She said you'd understand.
Oh, but of course, the poor dear thing. Tell her I shall come and see her tomorrow.
Oh, I will indeed.
Now, my dear, do take poor Mr. Densher. Introduce him to as many people as possible to make up for his disappointment. Come, Susie, dear. I want you particularly to meet these two friends of mine.
You see? What did I tell you? She loves you.
Why should you suppose?
Don't you see? That's her reason for funking it, poor thing.
But wasn't I quite decent to her when we met? You saw for yourself.
Oh, absolutely charming, you fiend. That's what I mean. Oh, you have all the right instincts.
Look, we really shouldn't be talking like this.
Nonsense. To seem not to know each other now would be really overdoing it. But I think all the same, she may really be ill.
You mean very ill? I must say, at first sight, she gives one that impression. But if that's so, why don't they go home?
Oh, they would. But they postponed it now because of you.
Because of me.
She couldn't see the future, poor soul. It remained for her a dark, confused thing, but now, quite suddenly, the world's before her. She has so much to lose because her success here has been astounding. And she's taken it all like a perfect angel. If one can imagine an angel with such a thumping bank balance.
Is her fortune so very large?
Absolutely enormous, so Aunt Maud says. And she, as you know, is never wrong in such matters.
What good in the world, then, can knowing me do her?
Every possible good. To begin with, you can console her.
Indeed? For what?
For all that she must give up, poor soul, if she is ill. Don't you see? I want to make life as agreeable as possible for her. To do that, I use what means I can. You are what I have that is most precious, therefore it is to you I turn.
Am I to understand, then, that what you wanted me is to make up to a sick girl?
She never, in a way, strikes one as sick. That's the beauty of her. She won't show it any more than your watch would the moment before it ceases ticking for want of being wound up. She won't, as it were, smell of drugs. She won't taste of medicine. No one will know. She's wonderful.
What extraordinary state of health do you think she's in, for goodness sake?
I believe that if she's ill at all, she's very ill. I can't tell you why, but that's the way I see her. She'll have it all, or miss it all.
And you, my love, will miss nothing. And Kate.
Ah, Lord Mark. I don't know whether you've met Mr. Merton Densher, who's just back from America.
Oh, indeed.
How do you do?
How do you do?
My aunt is in the other room, I think.
Thank you. And Miss Theo?
Ah, Millie was compelled to disappoint us, I'm afraid. I've just been consoling Mr. Densher here.
Oh, she's not ill, I trust.
Oh, no, I think not.
We must all take the greatest care over her, I feel. This way?
Please, if you would.
So it's he who's your aunt's man?
It is?
How does she reconcile his interest in Miss Theo?
With his interest in me?
Exactly.
Ah, well, you see, she likes him. Welcomes him. But the beauty of it is she doesn't really trust him.
Takes him to her heart, yet thinks he cheats.
That's the way people are. What they think of their enemies, goodness knows, is bad enough, but one's still more appalled by what they think of their friends.
And Miss Theo, what is her position in all this?
Millie, I've already told you, is in love with you. Go round tomorrow and you'll see for yourself.
And what sort of basis does that make for my seeing her?
Oh, I don't mind.
Don't mind my leading her on?
Don't mind her leading you.
Well, she won't, so you've nothing to mind.
She doesn't, of course, know that I care for you.
Oh, have you denied it?
My dear man, we've never even spoken of it.
Never, yet you're her closest friend.
Bitter as that may be to your pride, my love. Never. So you see, you're quite free. Go to her tomorrow on that basis.
Kate, you're prodigious.
Of course I'm prodigious. Haven't I always told you so?
Compared to you, all other women are stupid. So many books one's read before, but you're a whole library of the unknowns, the uncut. Don't fail me now. It would kill me.
I won't fail you.
You see, one day I shall oblige you to keep that promise.
I hope you will, Mrs. Lauder. I shall be most happy to.
You must go. Ah, Lord Mark, come and talk to me. I've seen nothing of you the whole evening.
My dear Miss Croy, nothing would give me greater pleasure.
Forgive me, Mr. Densher.
One moment, Mr. Densher.
Mrs. Lauder.
Mrs. Stringham was just speaking to me about poor Miss Theo. Such a shame she couldn't be with us.
Yes, a great disappointment. I was hoping so much to renew our brief acquaintance.
Then why not do so, Mr. Densher? You know where they're staying, of course. If not, I can give you their address.
Thank you.
I think I can say on Miss Theo's behalf you'd be most welcome.
Curious you should press me in this way, Mrs. Lauder. Kate has just been doing exactly the same thing. You're all most concerned for my good manners. Thank you.
I mentioned it as a matter of some urgency, Mr. Densher, because between you and me, Mrs. Stringham and Miss Theo will not long be with us. I fear they go abroad.
Well, then, if they're
But she won't go until she's seen you, I'm sure.
Really?
And when she does go, we, of course, will go too.
Then I fear...
And you, if you will, may come and join us. I'll write, of course, and give you a formal invitation.
Thank you again. It's a most kind suggestion, but there are all sorts of things to consider, my work and so on.
That? Oh, yes, of course. But against it, there's the question of not losing the great occasion of your life.
And what might that be, Mrs. Lauder?
I think you know, Mr. Densher. I can smooth your path for you, and I will. Oh, she's clever, she's charming, and she's good, and her fortune is vast. I consider I'm treating you very handsomely.
Oh, you are. And I'm obliged to you for such an offer.
What doesn't belong to me, but there's no reason why it shouldn't to you. And I think perhaps in any case you owe me something, do you not?
Most certainly I do, for inviting me here tonight to begin with.
Oh, but I've gone much further for you than that, I can assure you.
Oh?
I've told the proper lie for you, Mr. Densher.
Once again, I must thank you, but really...
Don't you understand? Miss Theo would never trespass on property which by any stretch of imagination could be called Kate's. Well then, I depend upon you to make me right, as it were. And now I must go. Good night, Mr. Densher, in case you're leaving early.
But how kind and charming of you to come. Do sit down.
So now, what's to become of you? Do you both plan to rush about paying visits? Is that it?
Oh, no, indeed. We're to go abroad as soon as arrangements are completed.
Oh, really? Not for long, I hope.
Well, we have no definite plans. And you? How do you propose to spend your summer, Mr. Densher?
Oh, I shall have to spend it in sordid toil, I'm afraid, drenched in mercenary ink. My time in your country must count as my holiday. But you'll come back to us, I hope. You must.
Whom do you mean by us, Mr. Densher?
All of us here, all of us who want to surround you with our friendship and sympathy.
Why do you say sympathy?
But it's a pale, stupid word, not what I mean at all.
But the people that I'd most come back for are Mrs. Lauder and dear Kate. I'd do anything for Kate. Mr. Densher.
Yes, of course. I can see what very great friends you've become.
I like to think so. In fact, I'm entirely in her hands, and glad to be.
She can be somewhat masterful.
Yes. Oh, yet I wouldn't say that she bullies me, or only in the most delightful way. Oh, but you must know her so much better than I.
Yes, yet I sometimes wonder if any of us really do.
Oh, I too sometimes have that feeling. Come in.
Your courage, madam.
Thank you.
I must leave you.
Oh, no, please.
But surely...
I have an appointment, that's all, the other side of the park. Would it be too much trouble to ask you to come with me? At least part of the way.
My dear Miss Steele, what a charming idea.
Oh, good. I dress very quickly. There are books and things.
Oh.
She's in the bedroom, preparing to go out.
And you're going with her?
With your approval, yes.
Oh, my approval is complete. So, it won't have been from illness that she stayed away last night.
I like her. In fact, I like her very much.
Of course, we love her, all of us.
That's why what I'm doing is not easy.
Oh, and what exactly are you doing?
I think you know. But it's for you. I'm doing it. I'd do anything for you.
Good, excellent. That's the way I like you.
In fact, it's only for that I'm letting you do, well, God knows what with me.
Oh, well, you can always back out now if you're so squeamish, before she comes out.
You mean just run off, do a bunk?
I'll stay here and make it straight with her as best I can. She'll be upset, of course, but she won't die of it.
No.
You mean you'll go on?
I'll go on if you swear again that you love me.
What? Here? Are you mad? I'll go then and leave you.
All right, then, go.
I do hope I haven't kept you too long.
Not at all. You've been extremely quick.
The call that I have to make is in Harley Street, if that would be in your direction.
That would suit me very well. Thank you.
Yes, we leave on Friday for Venice. So you see what good you've already done me.
And that clever lady I met when I came to visit you, she goes too?
Susan Stringham? Oh, dear, yes. She'll be with me, I hope, to the end.
Oh? To the end of what?
Oh, well, of everything.
Then you're in luck, Miss Steele. She'll be with you a long, long time yet. But just you and she?
No. We shall have 2 companions, 2 ladies. Just 4 dreary women.
You, I should say, are quite the least dreary woman I can think of.
Oh, thank you. But I hope that as we travel about, we shall not be entirely unnoticed by the gentlemen. Because when you talk to me of life as you once did, I remember, I take it that you mean, well, mostly gentlemen.
Yes, of course. I mean also the whole beautiful show of life in all its aspects. But gentlemen? Yes, by all means. And may I be permitted to be one of their number?
You, Sir Luke?
I shall be in Italy myself by the end of the month. I should like to include Venice in my tour, if I may.
Oh, would you? Would you really? Well, I just feel that if you could see me sometimes, be near at hand, then I'd have nothing to fear.
You've nothing to fear, my child. You're all right.
Oh, then keep me so.
I will.
Keep me. Keep me.
I promise.
It's all right, Eugenio. I wasn't asleep.
Scusi, signorina, there is a gentleman, an English gentleman. He asks if he may speak to you.
Oh, Mr. Densher? Send him in.
It is not Mr. Densher, signorina.
Oh, goodness.
You do not wish to see him, signorina?
Oh, it's not that, Eugenio. It's just that I've come to value my afternoon siesta so highly. Oh, but never mind. Send him in, please, Eugenio.
Signorina.
Thank you.
Lord Mark.
I was shivering on my own in Carlsbad, and suddenly I could stand it no longer. Forgive me.
But of course, this is delightful.
And better still, I find you alone. Well, what a temple to taste you have here, Miss Steele. And yet at the same time, such a jolly home.
The others have gone over to Santa Maria. I'm afraid you could find them, I'm sure.
Oh, no, thank you. Unless, of course, you'd come with me.
Oh, but you see, I don't go about. That's why you so happily found me here.
Ah, but you should, with that tremendous staircase down into the courtyard. And there ought always to be people at the top and bottom in Veronese costumes to see you do it.
Yes, it's all extremely beautiful. I adore the place already. In fact, I think I should like to die here.
No, it's not suitable for that. Besides, you mustn't treat us all so badly. Well, you know, don't you, that we're all just a little bit in love with you. And you weren't born to make us miserable. You were born to make us all happy.
You've always been so kind, Lord Mark.
Do you remember something I said to you that day at Matcham? Or if I didn't, then I fully meant to.
Oh, I remember everything at Matcham. It seems another life. 100 years ago.
Oh, it's too monstrous that one can't ask you as a friend what one so much wants to know.
You mean, I suppose, am I really ill? Since you ask me, yes, I am.
And you do nothing about it?
I do everything. What am I doing now? One can't do more than live. So you see, I shan't, after all, have missed so very much.
But why should you miss anything? You're the one person in the world, surely, for whom it shouldn't be necessary. You see, I know what you want.
Oh. And what is that?
You want to be adored.
Do I?
And I have come all this way here to do it.
And your idea, I suppose, is that in the end I should be forced to adore you in return. Is that right?
Not forced, I hope. Is it so inconceivable that you should do so of your own accord?
Lord Mark, once again, I'm enormously grateful to you for your extreme kindness to me, but you need have no fear of my taking you seriously.
Ah, but I am serious, Miss Steele. You may not know it, but I have never been more so in my life.
Then if I may say so, you shouldn't be. But I know that in reality you didn't come to Venice to see me, and you mustn't, out of kindness, pretend that you did.
Oh, and whom then did I come to see?
A much older friend than I, and the best one you have in the world, or so I can believe her to be.
Could you be referring to Kate Croy?
I could indeed, and am.
So, you intend me to marry her, is that right?
What I intend doesn't matter. Mrs. Lauder intends it, and that does.
Aha.
You know it, and moreover, she knows you know it.
Ah, but by the same token, I also know that she happens to be very much in love with a particular person.
Oh, I beg your pardon, but that's not true.
Oh, and what makes you say that?
I have it on the very best authority.
You mean Mrs. Lauder's?
Hers, yes, but even better than that, well, we're very intimate, Kate and I. We tell each other things. She hasn't said it in so many brutal words, but...
You're sure?
As sure as one ever can be in such matters.
She's deep, Miss Croy.
Kate.
I mustn't stay. They'll be looking for me. Are you absolutely certain it was he?
Well, of course. I couldn't possibly be mistaken. But why should he come all this way and then leave after an hour without seeing anyone?
Well, he did. He came to make her his offer of marriage, and when she declined it, his business was done. He went home.
You think he proposed marriage to Millie?
Well, why not?
And what kind of blundering, asinine weathercock is he, for heaven's sake?
Oh, you are in love with her, you know. But anyway, why shouldn't he?
Under the very nose of the woman he's supposed to be in love with?
Ah, but he's already had his try at me, so that makes it all right.
Oh, does it indeed?
I'm glad, my love, you can still be jealous.
Kate, don't you understand that for me this whole situation is becoming quite intolerable?
I scarcely see why. If Aunt Maud is content, then why shouldn't
It's
we
not
be?
Mrs. Lauder who's on my mind.
Oh, Millie, you mean? You know, I wish you'd speak of her more, my love, to Aunt Maud. Say something handsome and sincere, because you know you do like her. You like her very much.
Kate, don't ask more of me, don't. I give you so much, you give me nothing.
Is this nothing? I'm risking everything at this moment by coming here at all.
I can go on a little longer, possibly, with your help. Without it, I can't.
Oh? And what help exactly do you want? But I must go. St. Mark's Square in 20 minutes, they said.
Kate, why don't we have done with this whole wretched business and just face them all as we really are?
Do you want to kill her?
Kill her?
You know perfectly well what I mean. We can't. We're in too deep. We've told too many lies.
Have we? I've told no lies.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
And rather than have to, I'd go tomorrow.
All right, then, go!
Oh, Kate. Kate, you know I'd tell any lie for you. If only you'd come to me.
Come to you?
Here. Tonight.
Oh, but I can't. You know I can't.
Tonight, after dinner. With Sir Luke arriving at the Palazzo and everyone coming and going, nobody would notice. With 2 grains of courage, we'd manage it somehow. People in our situation always can.
Oh, it's not for the reason you think that I hold back.
Tonight, then. You will. You'll come tonight. Kate, answer me.
Oh, let me go. Please.
Kate.
Oh, Mr. Densher, I'm so glad you're early.
I came a little before time, especially...
To see her? Well, then you must wait a bit. She's coming down later.
Oh, she's not,
Oh, no, no, indeed. No, in fact, she's much better. No, she's saving herself for Sir Luke. It's to be quite an occasion.
So I see by all this aggravated grandeur.
Oh, isn't it lovely? I feel that bringing out the full glory of the place makes her really happy. It's a Veronese picture, don't you think? I mean, with me as the inevitable dwarf, the small blackamoor stuffed into the corner of the foreground for effect.
In that case, what am I? Or am I not even in it?
Oh, indeed you are. You are the grand young man who surpasses all the others and holds aloft the wine cup. But what we all hope that you'll be faithful to us. That you haven't come down here for just a foolish few days.
Well, my plans are not absolutely certain, I'm afraid.
Well, you mean the pinch and pressure of work?
Exactly. The daily task, the daily wage, bothersome necessities.
But couldn't you write about Venice?
Ah, if only I could. But if, as you say, she's so much better, why has she sent for Sir Luke Stret?
Oh, but she hasn't. He's come of his own accord. Now, she's delighted, of course, particularly that he should come just now, because she wanted above all things that he should meet you. Oh, but there's Maud. Will you forgive me?
Me? But what in the world have I to do with a man like Sir Luke Stret?
Well, meet him, talk to him, and you'll see. He sets great store by you.
Isn't she marvelous? Oh, she's a dove. Have you ever seen her so splendid and shining?
Mrs. Stringham says she's better.
She isn't. She's worse. She's done all this for Sir Luke, but she can't deceive him. Ah, They're looking this way. I think he'd like to talk to you.
Mrs. Stringham warned me he would.
So, you see how we all look to you?
Yes, but look to me for what?
You know what I want of you. You know perfectly well.
So you want me to marry a dying girl, is that right?
To marry her. Yes.
If you cared for me at all, I can't imagine how you could even bear to speak of such a thing.
When you know me better, you'll know how much I can and can't bear. I am a person, thank goodness, who can do what I don't like.
So it seems.
All you have to do is stay. Leave it to her if you're so squeamish. She will do all that is necessary.
You mean she may offer me marriage?
If you want to know, my dear, I can think of nothing that she may not offer you.
And you'll just sit by, is that right, and watch?
Oh, dear, no, we shall not be here.
Oh? And where, may I ask, will you be?
We go home. I was about to tell you on Thursday.
Indeed. And is this sudden change of plan Mrs. Lauder's idea?
Very much so. Announced not an hour ago. So, you see...
Yes, I do see. In fact, it makes everything fit. So Mrs. Lauder's prepared to leave the poor girl here to die?
No, she's convinced she will not die, not if you stay.
Well, she has a high opinion of me, it seems.
Haven't I always told you so? You'll stay, then. On your honor.
Very well, I'll stay on my honor. If you come to me tonight on yours.
But we've already discussed
And you
this.
avoided an answer. If you do so again, I'll do nothing. I'll leave before you do tomorrow morning.
And if I come?
I'll do all that you say.
Then I will.
On your honor?
On my honor.
There you are, Kate, my dear. You really must not hide poor Mr. Densher away like this. Sir Luke is most anxious to meet him. Come, Mr. Densher. Miss Steele is beckoning to us, I think.
Kate, darling.
You knew I would. I promised.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Wonderful, Kate.
Millie, my love, we have a visitor. Mr. Densher, how kind.
Not kind at all.
Do sit down and join me.
I'll leave you, my love. Mr. Densher will pull the blind, I know, when the sun gets round.
You must miss them both extremely, I'm sure. Susie and I are quite lost without them.
Oh, I do, of course, but I shall try to make a virtue of it. London is an impossible place to work in. It's high time I set myself to something more ambitious. Now seems just the moment.
A book, you mean?
Of a sort, yes.
You mean you've already begun something since you've been here?
In a tentative way, yes. A mere sketch for a beginning, that's all.
Oh, dear, then I'm afraid we've all of us made a dreadful mess of your time. Have you got pleasant rooms? I mean, will you find it easy to work there?
As easy as I find it anywhere, I dare say.
You're very secretive over your whereabouts, Mr. Densher. But Susie and I are determined to seek you out and surprise you before the weather breaks, so be warned.
But would that be wise?
Wise, Mr. Densher?
I mean for you to leave the house now that the weather's changing.
Why? Do you believe me to be so very bad, then?
I'll believe whatever you tell me.
Well, then, I'm splendid. I want so much to live that I know I can. I will. I will.
Of course you can. You must.
In that case, why may we not pay you a visit?
Did I ever forbid it? You may come any day you wish, of course.
I can see I'm being an awful bore about it. And if I'm not careful, you'll go home and leave us. Please forget what I said.
Don't worry, Miss Steele. I shan't leave you. Not now.
Now, tell me about your book, please.
Book? Oh. Well, to be quite honest, Miss Steele, there is no book.
You're not writing? Not at all?
Not at all.
Well, then, what are you doing? I mean, for what exactly are you staying?
Miss Steele, if I could only...
Oh, I asked too many questions. Please forgive me.
I wish from the bottom of my heart I could be sure exactly why I am staying. That I could be completely honest with myself, and more particularly with you, but one's feelings, one's motives are so appallingly mixed, I find.
I know. I fully understand. And my feelings at being so glad that you've not gone, though, whatever the reason may be, are probably at least as complicated as your own, Mr. Densher. So need we be absolutely explicit, perhaps, either to ourselves or to each other?
Well then, need we?
Not as far as I'm concerned, I can assure you. It's enough for me that you'll come and visit us until, well, for as long as that remains a possibility.
I shall come. You can rest assured for as long as you still want me to.
Oh, that will be for a long while yet, I hope. And you're to go about, please. Make the most of this time. Make it something that you look back on later as, in its odd way, very happy. Would you do that, please, Mr. Densher?
I promise. And thank you. Thank you.
Millie, my love, if you've forgotten the time, I have not. I'm sorry, Mr. Densher, but we follow a strict regime in this household. I'm sure you understand.
I was about to leave at that moment.
You needn't apologize for sending Mr. Densher away. He'll be seeing quite as much of us as he can in the next few weeks, I fancy.
Ah, Eugenia, what truly appalling weather. Will it go on like this for days, do you suppose?
Scusi, signore, the ladies, they are a little fatigued.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My instructions are to admit no one, I'm afraid, signore.
Why, has anything happened? Is she ill? Miss Steele, I mean.
I'm sorry, signore, I cannot say.
But surely she'll just see me.
I'm sorry, signore, my instructions are nobody at all.
I think,
Scusi, signore.
if you don't mind, I should go too.
Oh, yes, of course. You have my London address. Now, please, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. I'd come at once, you know that.
I hardly think it will be necessary. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Thank you.
Signore.
Oh, thank God you're still here.
What is it? Is she worse?
I don't know. I scarcely know what she is.
Here, let me take your things.
Yes, thank you.
I'm so glad you've come. In a way, I've just been wretchedly waiting for you.
I was so afraid when I knew that you tried to see her that you might already have left.
I'll leave the day after tomorrow, but please, tell me.
Mr. Densher? She's turned her face to the wall.
You mean she's dying?
I mean, she scarcely speaks. She hasn't so much as named you since that dreadful day, the day he came to see her.
Lord Mark, that intolerable ass. What has he done?
She doesn't want to die, poor darling. Think of her age. Think of her beauty. Think of her goodness. Think of all she has and is. But she just lies there, stiffening herself and clinging to what little is left for her.
But what could he say? What does he know? More important, what do you know? Everything?
He told her, Mr. Densher, that you had all the while been engaged to marry Miss Croy.
So, he has told her that.
He came for reasons that I can only guess at, specially to deliver her this cruel blow. She took it, brave soul that she is, without betraying a sign.
She would. She's magnificent.
As you say, she's magnificent.
Why? Why should he even do such a thing? To come all this way and then simply to destroy a poor girl who's only a few months to live?
I think it was not really for her that he came. You know, I suppose, that on his first visit he asked her to marry him and she refused.
No, I didn't know.
Well, I leave you to guess the reason for that refusal.
You think he came merely out of malice to harm me, regardless of what it might do to her? But that scarcely makes him any better, does it? But how did he know?
How about you and Miss Croy? Does it really matter how he knew?
Oh, God. Does she utterly hate me?
Millie, I don't know. No one ever will. She won't talk of such things.
Oh, Lord, what can one say? What can one do?
Mr. Densher, before you leave, would you go to her just once?
Would she see me?
I think she would. And if you do, would you deny it for her sake? Everything that he so cruelly led her to believe?
So, she does believe it, then?
Oh, God knows what she believes.
And to you?
That's not important. What I believe will depend on how you act. I promise to believe anything you say. If to save her happiness, you'll deny it. Will you, for her sake? My love, he's here.
Thank you.
A few moments only, Mr. Densher. I'll be within call.
Mrs. Stringham led me to suppose you'd be kind enough to see me.
But of course.
I wanted most particularly to see you again before I leave.
So you leave?
Yes, tomorrow, I'm afraid. I must. My work, everything demands it.
Then of course you must go, Mr. Densher. It's been so very good of you to stay on in the way that you have.
Oh, no.
Oh,
No.
yes. And may I say while I can, how deeply and truly grateful I am.
Grateful, Miss Thiel. To me.
Yes, to you. I was afraid when you came to call last time, and I believe that you found that we already had a visitor, that you might have left us immediately. Oh, I'm glad that you did not.
Miss Thiel, I believe during that meeting, certain statements were made concerning...
Mr. Densher, please. I thought we had agreed, you and I, that our relationship, whatever it may be, was one which didn't demand specific assurances on either side.
Yes, but after what
Well, may I say that for my part, that arrangement still holds good. Now, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
Goodbye, Mr. Densher. And thank you. Thank you.
And you mean to say you've been back for a whole fortnight without even making a sign?
I've only been following out our agreed plan by not rushing here to see you at once.
And you've not heard from Mrs. Stringham?
Why? You?
Our news is as recent as a few days ago.
And is she still...
Alive? She was when Mrs. Stringham last wrote. Was it so very terrible?
Since you asked me directly, yes. You know, I suppose he came all the way back, especially to tell her everything. Your friend, Lord Mark.
Everything?
Everything. It was his visit that has taken away her will to live. He told her, the scoundrel, that you and I are secretly engaged.
But he doesn't know it.
Then he must somehow have guessed. Had you seen him?
Yes, of course. He came to Lancaster Gate several times at Aunt Maud's request, needless to say.
Then what, for God's sake, did you say to him?
But in any case, couldn't you have denied it? Told her that he was mistaken?
And lied to her, you mean? By the way, my dear, we are, I suppose, still engaged.
Yes, of course we're still engaged. But surely, to save her life, poor thing.
If I'd denied you then, I would have stuck to it.
Huh. To save your conscience.
So you see how fine it was of her that she never directly asked me.
You have fallen in love with her.
Well, say so if you like. Why need you mind with a dying girl?
Or at least she won't have died, poor thing, without having been loved. She wanted nothing more. And I don't mind. I don't mind because I think you've done it to please me.
And does it?
Yes, it does. More important, it will please Aunt Maud. We needn't fear her any more. We've done it. We've squared her.
Oh, in what way?
Millie will not have loved you for nothing. You see.
Kate, marry me now before news of any kind comes from Italy. If we do it now while there's still time, it would make us right again, don't you see?
What on earth has happened to you?
Simply that something snapped inside me last night. I can't bear this any longer. It's as I am, I'm afraid, that you must have me.
I simply don't see what has changed. We've been going on so well together. Now suddenly you desert me.
Oh, Kate. Kate.
But don't let's squabble about such a thing now, of all times. Come tomorrow early and join us for church. Aunt Maud particularly asks that you should. You see how greatly she values you. Now I must fly, or she'll wonder where in the world I am. Till tomorrow.
Ah, Mr. Densher. I'm so glad you've come. So our dear little dove, as Kate calls us, folded her wonderful wings at last, then.
Millie. Miss Steele, you mean?
The news came late last night by telegraph from poor Susan Stringham. But you'd not heard.
From Mrs. Stringham, no. Not a word.
Poor Kate is naturally very much distressed. She's in the drawing room. Go to her, Mr. Densher. Comfort her, poor child.
May I?
But of course she needs you. Smithers, take Mr. Densher's coat for him. Such a tragedy. She wanted so much to live, poor thing. Why, for pity's sake, shouldn't she, with everything as it were to help her? I mean, the mere money of her, the darling. If it isn't too disgusting at this particular moment to mention such a thing. Which reminds me, I do hope you'll be able to join us sometime over Christmas, Mr. Densher. I'm afraid we shall all feel disinclined for anything but a rather quiet celebration under the circumstances. Of course, I know you will understand.
It's all right, my dear. Mrs. Lauder's just told me.
It came last night. Too late to get in touch with you.
Yesterday, when I came home from the office, there was a letter waiting on my table, in her writing.
Written on her deathbed, poor thing.
Written possibly some while ago, but posted to arrive on Christmas Eve. I knew immediately what was in it, without even touching it.
You speak somehow as though you still hadn't touched it.
Oh, I've touched it right enough. I'm touching it. Or rather, it's touching me at this moment.
You mean you have it here? You've brought it with you?
But first, I want you to give me the answer you avoided before. What happened between you and Lord Mark that he should have gone back to Venice with the awful result we now know? In short, how in the world did he know we were engaged?
Are you trying to fix it on me that I must have deliberately told him?
My dear Kate, I'm not trying to fix anything. It's just that I'm somewhat tormented and trying to clear my mind.
He came, yes, several times while you were in Venice, and Aunt Maud's invitation, not mine.
Well, there you are.
Well, if I'm there, as you so gracefully put it, for having refused to meet him in his frequent and pressing requests, I plead guilty to it. Would you rather I'd given him the kind of answer that would have kept him here in England?
Did you not know he was going
No,
back?
of course I didn't. And I'm afraid that even if it doesn't fit into your strange notion of me, I would have given him just the same answer if I had. The fact that I haven't referred to this occasion until now is simply because the recollection of it does not afford me much pleasure. And I hope that if you're satisfied, you'll now let this matter drop.
Oh, certainly. I'll be only too happy to let it drop. Strange, though, that he should be the one person to guess our secret. I mean, he's not clever.
No, but just clever enough in his own interests.
And unscrupulous, it seems.
Possibly. Anyway, if you love me, please, never refer to this business again.
Oh, Kate, I do love you. It's because I love you that I'm here. And it's because I love you that I brought you this.
But you've not even broken the seal.
No, that's for you to do.
Open something from her to you. Oh, no.
But it's precisely because it's from her.
I think you know what it says. Your instinct tells you. As you say, it was time to come now at the season of gifts. She means, dear thing, to give you the final proof of how much you've been loved. No, I will not break your seal.
You refuse?
Positively. Besides, we know what it says, don't we? Both of us.
Do we? What do we know?
That she makes you rich.
Why did she tell you?
Never. We didn't speak of such things. That, to my mind, wouldn't have been playing fair. And I did play fair with her, whatever you may think.
Oh, Kate, it's because you played fair, as you call it, that time with me in Venice. That I brought you this.
You really want me to take it?
I really want you to take it.
I think that what it really comes down to is that you're afraid. Afraid of the truth, and afraid it's wonderful of you to be in love with her still.
I was never in love with her.
I believe that when we left Venice, you were not. Your change came that day you last saw her. She died for you then, that you might understand her. From that hour, you did. And so do I. She did it for us. I used to call her a dove. Well, she's stretched out her wings to cover us.
Don't.
You don't want to know?
I don't want to know.
You remember what we always said of her, that she
Stupendous.
was stupendous.
I believe that if she were to leave me a remembrance, it would not be meager.
It is not meager.
Kate, I want you. I beg with you to join with me in this.
By renouncing what is not mine to renounce, how can I?
By a single word, by telling me you're with me. Or better still, I make it all over to you. Every single penny.
So that the decision is mine?
The decision is yours.
I can see that you'll marry me without the money. But you won't marry me with it. So...
Kate.
One moment. Your word of honor that you're not still in love with her memory.
Oh, her memory.
My dear, don't try to speak as though you couldn't be. Remember, I know you too well. Yes. That's it. I can see that her memory is now your real love. It's all you need.
Kate. Kate! I'll marry you now, if you like, within the hour.
As we were?
As we were.
Ah, but don't you see, my dear? The tragedy is we can never again be as we were.